Welcome to Money Talk Viewpoint, the podcast for financial professionals, CPAs, attorneys, wealth advisors, trusted advisors, and those who work with high net worth individuals and family offices. Hello, my name is Stuart Cruz. I'm going to be your host today for Money Talk Viewpoint. I'm a TEDx speaker. I have a new book coming out, Licensed to Steal: How to Turn Wall Street Greed into Your Game. And I'm going to be your host today. For those who are not familiar with Cruz Asset Management, we are a boutique asset management firm and a fiduciary who services high net worth individuals. We believe that building portfolios with math and statistics lead to better outcomes. We have several quantitative portfolios that have tended to outpace the S&P 500 over time. And we also operate a virtual family office. And for those not familiar with that family office concept, which is something we're going to be talking a lot about today, at the end of the day, it's an approach of national experts that are working together collaboratively to optimize your wealth and your opportunities. We can do this through reducing your taxes, advanced estate plans, positioning your business to become more efficient, helping you buy or sell your business, create premium financing or captive insurance, and a whole slew of other services that we can provide. Now, as I mentioned, we are a fiduciary, but I did used to work at a big brokerage firm in the past. And we were not allowed to work with CPAs or any other national experts because the compliance department couldn't control what those other people said. But as a fiduciary who must act in your best interest, I don't know of any other way to do that than through a team-based approach. So if you're looking for how this team-based approach can work on your behalf, please feel free to reach out to us at www.management.com. Cruz is Kruse, or you can email me at stuart@cruzam.com. Okay, so enough about us. We want to really get into the meat and the potatoes of the show, and that's introducing our guest, Paavan Kotini. Now, I'm super excited to have Paavan on the show because if you've been following our guests in the past, we've really been going down this team-based approach, which is why it's my pleasure to introduce Paavan. He founded Kotini Kotini 13 years ago, which is a virtual family office focused on empowering CEOs, entrepreneurs, physicians through a goal-based planning and access to exclusive national experts through a team-based model approach. Paavan graduated from Vanderbilt University with a biomedical and medical engineering degree. He also studied design and innovation at Vanderbilt's Owen Graduate School of Management, and he studied at Wharton School in an accelerated program of entrepreneurship. Most exciting is Paavan recently released his best-selling book, Effortless Wealth: The Swan Approach to Unlocking Wealth for Busy Professionals. Paavan's got his book showing right now, and I wrote the foreword of the book, so you know I endorse it. I've read the book. It's chock full of really great information written in an extremely concise and approachable way. So I'm super excited to have Paavan on the show. Welcome to the show, Paavan. Welcome to Money Talk Viewpoint.
Thank you, Stuart. I'm really excited to be here. I appreciate the introduction. So looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, me too. So Paavan, I'm very excited to have you on the show because as an investment advisor, we're focused on building portfolios, and there are a few team-based members that can benefit me as much as, let's say, somebody who focuses primarily in the annuity and life insurance claim, because between you and I, we solve possibly the two biggest risks our clients. One is hyperinflation or a lot of inflation, and the other is market risk. So as a portfolio builder, I can help mitigate this inflation problem and keep up with purchasing power. But as we all know, the stock market drops 50%, 40 to 50% every 7 to 10 years, and that's a big roller coaster to go through. And that's where your solutions come in, life insurance and annuities, which guarantee a 0% return or guarantee no loss of income and can potentially guarantee a specific amount of income for life.
Yep.
So super excited to have that. But before we really get into all that, I really want to ask you about your education and your background. So I'm also a chemical engineer turned advisor. So tell me a little bit how your path led you from biomedical engineering to where you are now.
Actually, it's sort of really funny story, Stuart. Actually did biomedical engineering and did 7 years of research on cancer. Was going towards the track of medical profession really wanted to, treat cancer and come up with the next cure for cancer. However, through that process, one day I was at the Vanderbilt Cancer Ingram Institute doing, surgery on a monkey, and we cut a vein of a monkey, and blood just started spurting everywhere.
Oh
And
my God.
the next thing you know, I was passed out on the ground, right? And so there was scientists there, six other scientists there. They're like, do we take care of Paavan or do we take care of the monkey? Five scientists said that, monkey's way more important, because we took 2 years to prepare for the surgery. And then, one scientist took me out, put water on me, made me feel better, made me realize I can't see blood, Stuart. And it's hard to continue in the medical profession and not be able to see blood. So
Yeah.
I had really can do with my future and my career. And so was trying to go through some personal discovery of where I could pursue my passion and being able to help people. So I had a little stint in the tech space. I worked on the first iPhone project at Apple. And during that period, it was a segue career because during that period, I realized that I didn't really understand finance, Stuart. I didn't know what benefits I should select, how much I should be putting in my 401k, which options I should be selecting inside my 401k. That's when I realized that I really needed to understand finance. And everyone I talked to at that point didn't really seem to have a strong basis of understanding in finance. And so, whether it was my colleagues or whether it was my family, no one really seemed to know. And so it became my personal pursuit to really learn about finance. And as I did, as I got into the industry, starting off with life, health, and annuities, right? And when I got into the industry, I very quickly learned that there's tools and strategies and resources that multi-billionaires have and multi-millionaires have that's just not available typically to the mass affluent. And so um, started to help out my family and some close family friends, and just out of my nature, just to be able to help them out without any intention of really pursuing it as a career. But then, as you know, the Great Recession in 2008, the market crashed and a lot of people lost a ton of their money. But fortunately for whoever we helped out, we were able to actually preserve their portfolio. In fact, many of them grew. And so my clients started out, can you help my brother out? Can you help my sister out? Why are you not doing this full time? And I realized I really am making a positive impact, that I thought I would be doing in medicine, but I'm able to do it in finance, where I'm helping protect people's hard-earned money, but at the same time, I'm able to help them reduce taxes. I'm able to help them do other things as well and really make it tax efficient. So it became my calling, and over the past couple decades, we've really developed our organization now to the point where we're a non-traditional proactive planning organization. It's a multidisciplinary firm. We work with a team of CPAs, attorneys, advisors, and we focus on five primary areas. We do advanced tax planning, wealth management, legal services, business advisory, and risk management. And, we try to do it just as you mentioned in a family office setting, right? And so we're called a boutique virtual family office. And the idea is that we want to be able to help people and companies progress through their journey where they don't have to deal with a hodgepodge of advisors. And in fact, we can be their quarterback to be able to help take care of their needs, whether it's in business or in personal finance. So my journey started off in medicine, in IT, then into finance, and blossoming out to where we've built this organization now. And I wanted to be able to, sort of propagate some of this knowledge and information. That's why I wrote, Effortless Wealth, and really just to be able to share some fundamental concepts that I think are relevant to any successful entrepreneur, CEO, or medical professional.
Yeah. So that's great. And obviously you can do this all hopefully without it along the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though Warren Buffett might say, be greedy when there's blood in the streets, he's just talking metaphorically, of course.
Sure.
So the SWAN approach. So SWAN stands for Sleep Well at Night approach. So tell me more about your book and the SWAN approach of investing.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Um, what came to my mind during the 2008 crash is that a lot of people lost a lot of sleep, right, during that period of time when they lost a lot of money. And, some people, I remember this one uncle that he was planning on retiring about that year, but he didn't. He wasn't able to because, he lost a lot of his portfolio. And so he was losing countless hours of sleep. So really, I wanted to do things in a fashion where it's sort of on cruise control and really help people sleep well at night. So the SWAN approach is about philosophy, it's about mindset, it's about strategy, and there's an analogy associated with it too. And it's based off of the principle of plan for the best, but prepare for the worst, right? So if you really plan for the best and prepare for the worst, there's ways that you can actually build your foundation so you don't have to worry so much about it. It's almost on cruise control, right? And one of the things is, there's multiple strategies that you can use in this SWAN approach, right? So I introduced a concept in my book called of principal protected accounts, right? And principal protected accounts um, really follow that SWAN approach to plan for the best, prepare for the worst, and where you're protecting your principal. The focus is on how do you protect your principal but constantly grow. I don't believe that it has to be always bull market investing or bear market investing. There could be a happy medium in between, and that's where I call it the SWAN market investing, right? And one of the concepts that I introduce is in the principal protected accounts. There's a number of things like you have structured notes, you have fixed index annuities, you have life insurance, and so on. But what most people don't know is today the SWAN, like principal protected approach, can really, really protect you when market is going down or in a sawtooth marketplace, but also you don't lose out too much. You do pretty well actually when the market is going up well, right? So it's a really in your portfolio. And if I can expand on one particular strategy, maybe that we used in a particular case with a client that was worried. There were two doctors. They were worried about their future because they weren't qualified for a Roth IRA. They weren't qualified for a lot of tax strategies. They were paying a lot in taxes now, and they knew that when they retired, they didn't want to pay that much in taxes, right? And so for them, they were worried about their future. So, Stuart, what we did is leveraging the principal protected account, the SWAN approach, we were able to develop a strategy using investment grade life insurance, okay, to help supplement and develop a Roth-like portfolio that was tax-free distributions during the retirement years, right? And it also protected their assets. It had a lot of credit protection, had a lot of different benefits, multiple different benefits. And one of the things is they're like, Paavan, I've been working, through med school, I've been working through residency, I've been working really hard through medicine. I don't want to wait till 60 to enjoy my life and retire, right? I want to retire early. They wanted to retire at 50. Traditional 401ks and qualified accounts didn't allow them to do that. The strategy that we built with this approach with investment grade life insurance allowed them to actually retire early at 50 instead of at 60, right? And with tax-free distribution.
So super powerful. I almost want to take a step back because you're jumping into a lot of I don't know, advanced features of life insurance and annuities. And perhaps I think there's a lot of news about annuities and life insurance. And so maybe we want to talk about some of just the bare basic versions of annuities. And I know even my clients have this misconception. And the way I try to relay some of these concepts are, hey, if I'm buying a variable annuity, and a lot of times they have a floor where you get 0% return. So if the market drops, you keep your principal, you protect your principal, like you said. Or if the market goes crazy, goes way up like 20%, 25%, you have a ceiling. And let's just say that ceiling's at 10. Okay. And that sounds awful initially because, hey, I'm losing out on this 20% return. But if you just think about it over a 10-year window, if this annuity is bouncing between 0 and 10% over 10 years, 2 or maybe 3 years you have a negative year, and then 7 or 8 years you have positive. If every 7 to 8 years are positive and you get that 10%, where those other years you get 0, you're kind of coming in at around 7.5%, which is pretty solid for no risk. So as an investment advisor who has to allocate to a secure set of assets, I can use annuities and life insurance as an asset class and then take the rest of the portfolio and become more risky. Is that a way that you view it, or do you have some expansion on that?
Absolutely. And just to step back, like as you were talking about, a lot of people don't understand. Let's just take life insurance, for example, right? Um, back in the day, I don't know if you remember, there was things that were on the wall and you had to press and dial numbers and it was called a phone, right? And you
Yeah.
had a long, long cord if you wanted to use with it or anything like that. But that
Yeah.
was
I still remember my phone from when I was in high school, and my last 4 digits were 9005. So nobody wanted to call me because it was like, or at least that's the excuse I used that nobody wanted to call me.
right, right.
It took forever to call me.
So and that's a phone. Now today, we have this, and we still call this a phone, right? But it's our camera, it's our flashlight, it's our alarm clock, it's our GPS, it's our TV, it's our internet, it's a mini computer. It's so many different things, right? But
The
we still,
least of which is a phone.
least of which is a phone, right? Um, but similarly, if we take that same analogy, right, we're calling today's life insurance, we're calling it life insurance. It really has evolved over the past, you know, 4 decades, right? And it's truly evolved, but a lot of people still have that image of that it's just for death benefit. In fact, today's life insurance, right, has death benefit, but has a lot more living benefits associated with it, right? And so really it's a Swiss Army knife. It can be used in multiple facets. It can be used for retirement planning. It can be used for college education planning. It can be used for business liquidity planning. It can be used for even future business deductions as well as uh, a legacy planning. So there's just a number of ways you can utilize it. And what most people don't understand is that there's actual tax benefits associated with it, right? And why would the government want to even give tax benefits inside life insurance? The Internal Revenue Code, IRC 7702, really sort of defined out, the tax benefits associated with life insurance. And, just like in a 401k, they have a cap, because they want to limit things that are really good, right? And here, it's sort of like a Roth inside a life insurance, you can put money inside it. It can grow tax deferred, but you have the ability to take it out tax free. I don't know many vehicles that allow that, right? And especially for high net worth individuals, right? Um, so and that cash value that's inside life insurance has a lot of number of ways that it can grow, right? It can grow with the marketplace, just like you were talking about, right? With the indexing strategy where there's a floor, where you don't lose any money when the market goes down. But when the market potential to gain up to a cap, right? But when market goes down, you don't lose anything. So what happens is you're always moving forward. You're moving in a positive direction, and you're able to lock in gains, which is very, very different from other asset classes, right? By locking in gains, you're able to leverage the philosophy around compound growth, right? So you might have heard of the rule of 72, and what the rule of 72 talks about is it's a concept of how money grows. What you do is you take 72 and you divide it by the rate of return you're getting. So if you're getting, pre-COVID in a bank account, you're getting less than 1%. If you take 72 divided by 1%, that's 72 years for your money to double, right?
That's the rule 72. How many years does it take for your money to double? So if you're
Yeah,
getting 7%, you divide that into 72 into your money to double. You get 10 years, 10%, it only takes 7 years to double. But yeah,
absolutely. So very simple way to calculate how fast your money can double, but the principle behind that is that it always has to be positive and it has to leverage compound growth, right? And so if you're dealing with a lot of positives and negatives, it's very, very hard to calculate over a period of time how fast your money can double. But if you want to be able to leverage compound growth, some principal protected accounts, some asset classes like annuities, fixed index annuities, or life insurance, fixed index universal life, things like that, can leverage compound growth, can leverage the concept of where you're protected on your principal and you're constantly moving forward and growing. So these are great tools that we leverage in our toolkit for applying the SWAN approach.
yeah. And I don't want to get super off track here, but to me, a good time to interject this concept that many people might not be aware of, which is premium financing. And I'm just going to give a ballpark on this. So if you have an investment that cannot lose value, you can imagine that a bank will be okay lending against that. If it can't lose any value and it's guaranteed, then banks will step in and say, I will leverage against that asset. And instead of getting a rate of return that might seem to be very lackluster in a normal insurance product or life insurance product, you can imagine if you leverage those premiums and you can leverage those returns. So you're getting equity-like returns in a life insurance policy. It's a very interesting concept.
Absolutely. And, not many places, you have mortgage where you're able to use leverage, right? When you're buying a home. In a fashion, you can leverage it for when you're buying a car, right? But you can do that also when it comes to investments inside of life insurance as well too. So you can do investment grade insurance and have premium financing in there. Now, not everybody is cut out for that, right? And it takes a certain type of investor to be able to do that because we want to do it in the right way, and there's a lot of moving parts. And that's why it requires somebody to be able to design it in the right way and somebody that can really do some good quality back testing on it and make sure it's there for the long run. Uh, there's a lot of car makers out there, but not every car is built in the same fashion, right?
That's
So
right.
it depends on the quality of the organization that's putting it together.
And this goes back to the team-based approach. Like I can have enough of what premium financing is. And in fact, as an engineer, I can kind of tell you how a car engine works. Can't build a car engine personally. So we need an expert in that area to come in. And if you're looking for a premium financing case, you're looking for specific annuities, you're looking for life insurance, you're looking to build a portfolio, we bring in that expert that can help drive the actual product as opposed to me just having some sort of concept of what I think I want to have. And you're going to get a very weak product if I were to build a premium financing product because I don't have the expertise in that area. Right.
Yeah. And along that lines, I believe a really good, family office is not trying to be the jack of all trades and expert of none, but they're working on leveraging the right who's right? Like Dan Sullivan says, the who, not how, right? And we're able to leverage partners that really have a strong understanding and are experts in their lane, right? So we're going back to the medical strategy. We're the general, doctors, physicians. But if we need a cardiologist, right, to do some heart surgery, I'm not going to say I'm going to do it, right? I'm going to bring a cardiologist in to do the heart surgery, unless you want me to pass out. So,
Paavan administering the anesthetic to himself as well. He's doing the yeah, he's doing the heart. Yeah, of course we can't do that. And then there's a lot of analogies and crossovers between the financial field and the medical professional field. I use those analogies all the time. Can you imagine, like, it wasn't that long ago, 5 years ago, maybe less, for roughly, where my viewpoint would have been, you're in competition with me. If I
yeah,
had a client that was saying, hey, I'm really considering buying a life annuity, my initial gut reaction would be like, no, you can't do that because I'm going to lose assets under management. I'm going to lose fees. I'm going to lose business from my client. And I'm working against you at the time, trying to talk to the client saying, no, you really don't want to do this. And I'm kind of maybe even bad mouthing some of your products. But if my client has 3 kids and needs life insurance, or they have a need for an annuity, or whatever, working with you in fact provides the client the best solution, and we all benefit, right? And the client the most, obviously, because they're getting, now you and I working collaboratively, providing them with a solution where we both think makes total sense for the client. And the client, often the reason why he's hiring us is often because he doesn't quite know. He's not the expert in our fields. I'm not even the expert in your field. And so he neither one of our fields. So he's a hard time discerning which one is right if we're arguing. But if we're working together on a team-based approach, then he's going to get a much better solution.
yeah, absolutely. I think, two heads are always better than one. And if we always put the client's interest, ahead of ourselves, right? Then we recognize and truly realize there's a need for multiple solutions to be in place, right? There's AUM that is required to help them really grow and build their wealth, to the next level. But there's also a need to protect their foundation, right?
Yep.
And there needs to be some safe money options in place that really help make sure their foundation is secure. But also maybe to build generational wealth, or to be able to do different activities and things like that. So I've always found, to where an advisor can really open up and really see that there's an opportunity in the blue ocean for many professionals to come together and collaborate together, and really put the client's interest in front of their own. It really makes sense. And that's the best way, that's the right way to be able to truly do it. I mean, in medicine, if doctors and nurses were trying to prescribe something to a client, right, to a patient, but they don't talk to each other, that could potentially lead to malpractice, right? And that's exactly
Kill
what's
the
happening.
patient.
Yeah,
Potentially kill the patient.
yeah,
Literally.
absolutely. And so, but that's what's happening in the financial space. And I think, the financial professionals that have recognized that and have started to come together and work together like we have, right? I think they truly are doing the best service for their clients, right? And the clients recognize that as well too. They like they know that, hey, Pavan doesn't know everything about everything, but he knows the right people that know a lot about their field, right? And so they come to me for that, just like they come to you.
Exactly. So let me shift gears a little bit. And I know we got very broad and I won't say off topic, but we did get a big picture. I want to dial it back in a little bit. What are some really fun, interesting cases that resonate in your head, life insurance or annuity, where you just came up with this kind of cool, creative solution for a client that you're just like, wow, that was really good. I feel awesome about what happened. I helped out their family, their generation, their kids, whatever it was. I can sleep well at night because of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll tell you where there was an individual that just sold um, their business, right? And was asking, hey, I'd like to be able to really, um, you know, have a different type of portfolio, right? He wanted to first of all reduce his taxes from the fact that he just sold his business, right? And he was worried about the impact that he's going to have with the taxes, the capital gains. And so we started talking to him about taxes. We were able to come up with some really cool solutions around the tax mitigation strategies to the point where he was able to have actually zero capital gains for the business that he sold. But then as we started to progress, we realized that there was a lot of things when it came to his personal wealth that he was very much in the taxable category, right? And he didn't have much in the tax-free space. And so for retirement, he wanted to reduce his tax burden. So we were able to really come out with a unique strategy that, one, helped leverage his growth and multiplied his growth. So we came up with leveraging, in this case, a principal protected account, an IUL type strategy, but it was on steroids. And essentially, where we were able to build his portfolio, he's putting money in to be able to protect his assets, and he's only doing it for a period of 10 years. But he's able to take a greater amount than he put in tax-free distribution, right, for about 40 years, right?
Wow.
And on top of that, throughout this time, his whole family is protected, and they're getting, in this case, it was like about, he started off with about 4 million in death benefit. By the time he's 120, his family is getting close to about 38 million in death benefit, right? And that's income tax free,
Wow.
right? So it's really taking generational wealth to the next level, right? And so, and that was for him. And he was like, well, what if I want to be able to also potentially buy another business too, right? And so we showed him how, let's say in a certain number of years, right, with his wife's portfolio, we were able to do the same type of insurance, but now he wanted to be able to leverage a portion of it to be able to potentially buy a business. And instead of going to the bank to get lending options, right? And he's able to potentially use his own insurance to be able to lend to himself, right?
Wow.
And so not only was his insurance used to cover retirement, it would be able to hedge against, for to build a family legacy, but now also for being able to be a business bank, right? Um, and now we're also exploring ways for, as he's potentially buying another business, um, to be able to leverage this in certain type of cash balance plans, so that can be a deduction in his current active business income for retirement plan, but there's a life insurance component that's actually in place inside there, right? And he's able to take it out after 5 years potentially, um, to be able to buy his insurance out of that, and he'll be able to get not only tax pre-tax dollars, but now it'll be tax-free dollars as well too. So it's very creative. It truly allowed him to be able to protect his retirement and income from taxes, protect his family, and actually multiply their wealth, right? But he very creatively protected his, overall portfolio, and has continued to grow.
Sounds like an incredible solution. Um, Another basic kind of question, and I don't think we covered this, what do you think when people approach you are the biggest misconceptions of either annuities or life insurance?
Yeah, so when it comes to annuities, people will say, isn't that for when you just want to retire and you give up all the control and for your money, and you just get some like monthly check, right? Uh, so that was, again, the old style of annuities, and that was the foundation of when they built annuities, right? How there's two type of annuities, right? There's accumulation type of annuities, and then there's income-based annuities, right? So even younger individuals, right, can leverage annuities, right, for them to be able to grow their portfolio. And in many cases, they can multiply their growth because there's some participation rates, and some of them don't even have fees, right? Some of them have fees, some of them don't, and some of them have, bonuses as well too. So you can actually, in year one, if you had a loss last year, you can recoup some of that through some of the bonuses. But annuities today, again, can truly be a part of somebody's portfolio, and it could be a great, diversification in asset class for safe money options, right? And it can follow the simple SWAN methodology or principal protected methodology where you don't lose any money when market goes down, but you're able to capture some of the growth when the market goes up as well too, right?
Yeah.
So annuity can be a great way to be able to do that. In insurance, there's a lot of misconceptions again that it's only for death benefit. There's a ton of living benefits, and if you think about it, if you knew, a lot of people build a lot of their assets and things like that because they want to pass it down to the next generation, right? Well, if we're able to show you ways that, you know, you could enjoy your assets while you're living and you can still pass on what you wanted or even more to the next generation through leverage, I think most people would love that, right? And so annuity and insurance can be great ways to be able to do that. And one other thing I would say is there's some people that talk about, you know, hey, it's just too expensive, right? They think of it as an expense. And that can be true if it's not designed properly, right?
Yeah.
And it's all about how you design it using the right type of tools with the right scenarios. It can be a great, great vehicle, right? And it can be an asset. So we want to help people not look at it as an expense, but really leverage it and utilize it as an asset class. And is the only life insurance is the only risk mitigation strategy that actually the IRS considers as an asset class.
Really? Okay. Wasn't aware of that.
Yep.
Okay, so can you tell me, we're getting close to wrapping this up, but let's sort of go back to your book a little bit. What was your favorite part of your book? Somebody said, hey, I can only read one section or one chapter of your book or something. What's your favorite part?
So I really love. So this, first of all, this book is a very quick read, right?
It,
So in today's day where we're used to everything in like 3 seconds or 5 seconds and whatnot, I didn't want to write a book that was too long and it would just sit on the shelf and people couldn't finish it. So really, if somebody wanted to, they could finish it in just like a couple hours, right? Very quick read. But one of my favorite chapters really talks about a couple of the case studies, but also just my personal journey, right? And I've gone through so many different challenges and what you call as black swan events in my life and whatnot. And I share that because every one of us has some, and as we go through it, we can actually overcome them through different strategies, right? So I think it's just overall it's hard to choose on one specific chapter, but I really love every chapter of it. But if I had to absolutely choose, I would actually choose chapter 5
okay.
right here, which is also just a modern approach to managing wealth, right? And I think wealth is the ability to fully experience life, as Henry David Thoreau had mentioned it. So that's the quote that I put in the chapter. So, yep.
Definitely a good quote. I mean, nobody really cares about the zeros. You care about what the zeros do for your life, right? You care about the the trust, the safety, the experiences the zeros can create for you, and not just that you have a bunch of zeros at the end. All right, well, Paavan, it's been awesome having you on the show. Everybody, how to get a hold of you, how to order your book, all that good stuff.
Absolutely. So first of all, for the book, you can go to if you want, free digital copy. We have it at effortlesswealth.com. If you want, the hard copy or the Kindle version or anything like that, or hardcover, you can go to Amazon.com and just search up Effortless Wealth and Paavan Kotini, right? And so you can search Paavan Kotini right there. And my firm is Kotini and Kotini, so you can reach out to us at Paavan, Paavan at Kotini and Kotini, KOTINIAND KOTINI.com.
Sounds great. And I'm your host, Stuart Cruz. I can be reached at www.cruzassetmanagement.com or stewartassetmanagement.com. You've been watching Money Talk Viewpoint, the financial education podcast for high net worth family offices and family owner businesses. If you're interested in becoming a guest on the show, please reach out to moneytalkviewpoint.org. My name is Stuart Cruz. It's been a pleasure to have you on the show and have you as a guest. Thanks for watching, and we work hard to be better every day.